A group of female students at UC Berkeley demonstrate their opposition to the war. The majority of the anti-war movement began on college campuses with organizations such as SDS, Students for a Democratic Society. Anti-war protests rocked the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago, Illinois, as more than 10,000 demonstrators took to the city's streets. Opposition to the policies of President Lyndon Johnson's administration even spilled over to the convention hall itself, where Vice President Hubert Humphrey accepted his party's nomination. 8 anti-war activists were charged for conspiracy to incite violence during the 1968 Democratic Convention. 7 of the accused were originally found guilty, but the convictions were overturned on appeal. Mark Rudd, leader of Columbia University's Students for a Democratic Society, organized the 1968 student protest that led to the occupation of the 5 administration buildings and the temporary shutdown of the university. On November 15, 1969, more than 500,000 protesters flooded into Washington, D.C., for the Moratorium March, one of the largest anti-war demonstrations in the United States history. In Washington, D.C., veterans protest the fighting in Indochina by discarding their medals and uniforms over the fence at the United States Capitol. On April 30, 1970, Nixon announced an expansion of the war effort and the need to draft 150,000 more soldiers. This resulted in massive protests on college campuses around the country. At Kent State University in Ohio, the National Guard confronts protesters after an ROTC building was set on fire. The National Guard opened fire on the students, killing 4 and wounding 8. William Schrader, Alison Krause, Jeffrey Miller and Chandra Lisa Ewer were the 4 students who were killed during the Kent State protests on May 4, 1970. The Civil Disturbance Unit of the Washington Metropolitan Police Department responds to anti-war demonstrators at George Washington University in 1971. A peace sign printed on the American flag is raised during an anti-war protest in Washington, D.C. due, in part, to the strong anti-war sentiments. Nixon announced the end of the United States' involvement in Southeast Asia in January 1973.